Hello and welcome to this video. Today's video is about discipline and how you can be more disciplined. I struggle with this quite a lot, so I thought I would do a video where I talk about some things that have helped me to be more disciplined, because sometimes the procrastination gets too much and it can get really annoying. So in order to tackle that, you can try to be a bit more disciplined each day. So hopefully this video helps. First thing I would say is to get on with the work. I know this is easier said than done, but there are times when this works. So this doesn't work every time, of course. It works, for example, when you have to write an essay. Let's say you're overthinking the writing process and you're thinking, first I'll write this to-do list for this, and yes, that can be useful, but sometimes those things make you procrastinate more. So sometimes you spend more time overthinking and thinking the process. Let's say you're on your phone, maybe that's a better example. You're on your phone, that's the cause of your procrastination. Turn off your phone, put it somewhere else, and just get on with the work. Like, sometimes you have to be strict with yourself and force yourself to do the work. The next piece of advice is a little less strict, and it's to get a little bit done. So you could spend 5 minutes just doing something productive towards what you're working on, because sometimes 5 minutes is better than nothing. Because if you spend 5 minutes every day for a week, that is 35 minutes worth of work, which is better than nothing. Often what happens is the idea of doing a work is worse. You think about it, and that's the worst part. You just have to get over that. If you do something for 5 minutes, you can get so invested in the work that you'll spend like half an hour without even realizing it. Sometimes we procrastinate because of our perfectionism. So we want to write the best piece of work ever, and the fear of failure kind of is holding us back. So you'll procrastinate because you don't want to write it in case it turns out terrible, or you want it to be perfect, so you write out all these plans, and that can be a waste of time. Sometimes just knowing that work that you do will not be perfect can help. You could always rewrite it at some other time, whatever it is you're working on, but just knowing that sometimes the work just needs to be done and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now in terms of goal setting, because that often helps a lot, or like to-do lists and traffic lights, that's another system. A to-do list can help you, but if you overthink the to-do list and write too much to do that isn't even important, you could just write out the most important things you need to do that week or for the task that you're working on. So you focus on only the most important. You know you need to get those done. Highlight them or something so they stand out to you. Also, to do with goals, set smaller goals too. You've got the big important ones, and this kind of contradicts what I just said, but if you're really struggling, you could set little goals that are related to what you're working on. So not like go for a walk outside, although that could be important. Research this thing that is going to be then productive towards what you're doing. So the things you're doing won't waste your time. They're actually helping you accomplish what you're doing, and they could be small things like research this particular name, for example. If you're really struggling, the smaller things can then help you to build up that momentum of working, and I'm already working on this, I might as well do that. I would also say have monthly and weekly goals and to-do lists. I love to-do lists and goals so much, which is why I talk about them so much, because they really help me. I can't function without them. So like weekly goals. If there is something very important you have to do at the end of the month, you could like do little check-ins with yourself where you are each week with that work. That can then remind you of that work and then help you work towards that goal, because sometimes we have so much to do and we think, no, I can't accomplish anything, I don't even know where to begin. But having those goals, it can remind you of what you're working towards. But over time, working on those little goals can help you become more disciplined, and it kind of then becomes a habit that you get the work done because you know you need to. I kind of feel strange saying this because what I'm saying helps, but I know there are moments when none of that helps, and all you want to do is sit on the floor because you have no motivation for anything. It's harder then, but even in those situations, reminding yourself, I really need to get this done so I can work on the floor if I want to. I will put my phone away. I will set a timer for 10 minutes just to work on this thing for 10 minutes. And then I will reward myself by going for a walk or making a coffee. And then I'll come back and see if I still want to work on this. If I still want to sit on the floor, I can sit on the floor for 5 minutes. You kind of just have to work on that. Another thing to keep in mind is that it takes patience and work Like if you're not a disciplined person, the learning process and trying to become a disciplined person is a process and it requires patience. It's not like it happens overnight. You could set yourself a goal to become more disciplined this new year. There are going to be times when it's easier for you to be disciplined and get on with your work. And there are going to be times when you want to be disciplined, but you won't be able to, and that is fine. Don't expect yourself to always be working and always be disciplined. Rest days are important. Having a day off in the week is very helpful. So I think the very last thing that I'll say is that it's important to have a rest day. So let's say you dedicate 6 days of the week to work and to practice being a disciplined person. Have one day off where you just don't do any work. Maybe do something else. It could be a day or it could be an evening. Maybe you could say to yourself that I won't do any work past 5 p.m, for example. That also helps because then you know this is the time I have for work and that's the time I have for rest, and that's also very helpful. I tend to not do any work in the evenings. That would be all for this video. Some advice I just thought I would mention on how you can become more disciplined. Some of it is general study advice, so I hope this is useful to everyone. Thank you for watching and I will see you in my next one.